In this video, I'm going to teach you how to read music for beginners and a little bit about ledger lines at the end for right hand and left hand. And I'll talk a little bit about other clefs. So first of all, on a music staff, there are 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, in between each line. Each line and each space gets its own note name. So let's start with the treble clef. The clef tells you what the names of the notes are. It tells you where middle C will be. So on the treble clef, middle C is all the way down here, below the staff. Then you can use the music alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, to know what comes after C. Look in the alphabet. What comes after C? D. So D, go here, will come next. E is the bottom line of the staff. F is the first space. G is the second line. A is the second space. B is the third line. I have to extend these lines a little bit. C is the fourth space. D is the fourth line. E is the fourth space, and F is the final line. Let me extend these lines out a little bit. Okay, so there's the full musical staff from C all the way up to the top line. Now, the reason I put C is because it's middle C, and that's where the clef tells you where middle C is. Okay, so now, how do I know, if I don't know where middle C is, how do I know that, say, A is the second space? How do I know that C is the third space? Or like F is the top line? How do I know just by looking at these circles and lines and spaces? Well, there's different phrases you can use to memorize the order of the lines and space notes. So I'm going to teach you that right now. Okay, so the treble clef for lines, the line notes, there's a sentence you can memorize. It goes like this: every good burger deserves fries. So if you can remember this sentence, you can remember from the bottom line to the top line, the first line is E, the second line is G, third line is B, fourth line is D, and the last line is F. Just remember those 5 words. For space notes, you don't have to memorize this whole sentence. You just need one word, and that's face. So from the bottom space to the top space, it's F, A, C, and E. Also, face rhymes with space, so that's how you can remember. Face rhymes with space. What word do I use for space? Face. So you're not going to use this whole sentence with space because it doesn't rhyme with space. Also, there's 5 words and 5 lines. There's 4 letters in face and 4 spaces. Okay, so that's the treble clef, line, and space notes, how to memorize them. Now let me show you on the staff how you would place these notes one more time. Okay, so here's how you would use the sentence and the word face. So you start on the bottom line, and the line phrase was every, which starts with E, so this is an E. Good is the second line, G. Burger starts with B. Deserve starts with D, and fry starts with F. Okay, and then face, you simply just spell out face from the bottom to the top. F is the first space, A, second space, C, and lastly, E, face. F, A, C, and E. Okay, so that's how you use the sentence and word to remember the treble clef, line, and space notes. Now we're going to get into the bass clef. Okay, this is what the bass clef looks like. Bass clef wraps around the F line, but the thing is with bass clef and every clef, you can't use the same sentence and word from the treble clef. So there's different order to the letters. Of course, if you know, say the bottom line you know is G, you can use the alphabet to work your way up, but that takes a long time. So here are the line notes. Here's the sentence for the line notes. Good is G. Burritos, I think I spelled that wrong, but that's the second line. We only need the first letter. Good burritos don't fall apart. Good burritos don't fall apart. That's G, B, D, F, and A. And that's how you read the bass clef line notes. Okay, so then bass clef space notes also gets a sentence. You may have heard this one. All cows eat grass. All cows eat grass. From the bottom space, all cows eat grass. And that's how you read the bass clef space notes. So see, same idea as the treble clef, just different phrases. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna draw a note on the whiteboard, and you have to leave a comment with your answer and see if you get the note correct. It'll either be treble clef or bass clef. We'll do 5 questions, and I'll tell you the answers after each question. So here we go. Okay, here's question 1. Question 1, so look at the clef. Is it treble or bass clef? Then you look at the note. Is it on a line or a space? Then if you know that, is it the first line or space, second, third, fourth, or fifth? Then from there, you can use the sentence or maybe the word face to figure this out. So I'll give you 5 more seconds and then I'll tell you the answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is treble clef. It's on the first space in the treble clef, so since it's space, we're gonna use face, and the first letter in face is F, so this is an F. Here comes question 2. Okay, here's question 2. So first, you look at the clef, line or space note, use the appropriate sentence or word. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is it's bass clef. It's on the third line. It's a line note, so we're gonna use good burritos don't fall apart. Let's work our way up. Good burritos don't. And it is the letter D. Here comes question 3. Okay, this time I'm not gonna explain anything. I'll just give you a few seconds to figure it out, or you could pause the video. The answer is E. It is a line note in treble clef. Question 4 coming at you. Okay, give you a few seconds or pause the video, and the answer is A. If you got F, you probably thought this was treble clef, but I switched it to bass clef. So always look at the clef. And here comes the last question, question 5. Okay, here's the last question. I'll give you a few seconds. 3, 2, 1. The answer is A. If you got F, you were reading it in treble clef. It is A, or maybe you used the wrong sentence. If you saw it was bass clef, maybe you thought you used the line sentence, which was good burritos. Maybe you thought it was G, but it is on a space, the first space, and it is an A. Okay, next I'm going to talk about ledger lines. Okay, so basically ledger lines are pretty simple. So these lines you have on the staff, there's only 5 of them. So if the notes keep going up above or below the staff, then you need something called ledger line, so it looks neater and you can tell what note you're writing. So in the beginning I wrote middle C here and I drew a line through it. And then I wrote D above that, and then the bottom line we know is E in treble clef. So look at this. So E has the bottom line on the staff, but then if you go below the line, there's nothing there. So we have to make sure we put this note, D, right below the line so it's touching it. If I put it down here, I don't know what note that is. It's just in the middle of nowhere. So we have to make sure that the note D is touching the E line. Then below D, we're gonna pretend there's another line from the staff drawn here. So if I drew a sixth line, then that would be C. But instead of drawing an entire line for one note, that would look very sloppy. So we just put a ledger line in the middle of the note. Now, if I keep going, I'm just going to draw notes going down, right? So if I keep going, we use the pattern. So D had no line in the middle, C does. So the next note is not going to have a line in the middle because C does have a line in the middle. Okay, so we're basically just drawing lines. So you have to imagine that the line from C is now on the top of this note. Just like D has the line on the top, the next note has the line on the top as well. Okay, so then the next note will be A. So now it's going to have the line in the middle and the line on the top. Does this make sense? So we just keep adding more lines to the notes, but we keep the previous lines. Let me go upwards. Let's start with F. Let's go right here. So the F line on the top. Then the next note would be G. So we're going to put it on top of the F line. Then the next note is A. So we're going to draw a line through it. Just like EDC, we have FGA. It looks the same, it's just going up. Then the next note after A would be B. So we keep this line and we put the note on top of it because the circles just keep going up, but the lines stay the same. So now we draw this line again. The next note is C. So we draw the same line, keep the lines, and draw another line. Then the next note is D. So we keep these lines, keep the same lines, but draw a circle. Keep the circles moving up and keep the lines the same. And if you need to add a line, then add a line. Now let's add E. So keep the lines. And since the previous note had no line in the middle, we need to add another line. Okay. So that is ledger lines. Basically, just use them to write notes above and below the staff. But there's a certain point, like if you're gonna go so low with the notes, then you're just gonna put those notes in the bass clef, so it's easier to read. Ledger lines are not the easiest to read, but once you practice enough, it's just like memorizing the notes on the staff itself. You can memorize the notes on the ledger line notes. So I know by looking at that, that's an E right away, just because I've been playing so long. So next I'm going to talk about different types of clefs. Okay, so there's different types of clefs and they all look like this. So basically this type of clef, you can move this little arrow in the middle to any space or line, and that tells you where middle C is. So that little arrow in the middle tells you where C is. So this clef is called alto clef. Viola players read this type of clef. So this middle line, which before in treble clef would have been B, is now actually C. So there you go. So if you move this arrow down, if you move the whole clef down to this line, then C would be here instead, right? So then every other note would be different. It would be C, D, E, F, G. But C is here, the arrow's here, so C's here on this line now. Now D would be the space, E would be this line, F would be this space, and G would be the top line. So, or you could think of it like everything is a half step up. Everything is one letter upwards. So C, D, E, F, and G for alto clef. And like I said, you can move this arrow anywhere, move the clef up and down for different instruments. But that's really it. So just to review, treble and bass clef have 2 sentences or a word to remember the order of the notes. Ledger lines are used to read notes above and below the staff, and there's different types of clefs to show you where middle. C is, but the most common clefs are treble and bass clef, especially if you're playing the piano. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if it helped you, and I'll see you in the next video.